Hey guys, Emmy Fisher here, and we are on Ragnarok. Not just Ragnarok, but we are in Scotland. Scotland. Anyway, so this is not what I'm going to be showcasing for you. This is my starter base. I did start in the Highlands. I think it was the southernmost place that you can start in the Highlands. Red Obelisk is right over there, and we're almost at the border with the forest over there. We've got those lovely basalt columns, like the Devil's, not Devil, Giant's Causeway in Ireland and Scotland. So that's kind of where we are. I'll show you a little bit more about where we are later. But I have several ideas actually for some builds in Ragnarok. This is not the one I've actually been hinting at in the other videos. This is something I wanted to do at some point, but I'm sort of gearing up for leaving the Highlands, at least for a while, hitting some of the other areas. And today I was like, well, I should probably do the builds that I want to do here that I can before I actually leave the Highlands, because I won't be back for a while. And it just takes so long to get a raft around this giant map that I wasn't going to be coming back for a while, and I figured I better get done the ones that I could do while I was here. So I'm going to be knocking this down and actually making the build that I am going to showcase here for this, and I'll give you some more information about where exactly I am. It's a wonderful location. It is my second pick. Well, one of my second pick for from where I wanted to build, at least at the beginning here. My first pick had a bit of an issue, and I'll go over and show you where that is and show you why I had a bit of an issue with where I was going to build that. But it was a little bit better because it had water. But I'll show you that later. I do have some plans for building next to a couple of the actual farm areas. I think those are amazing. I love them out in the actual Highlands. But I won't be able to do a couple of those ideas until I have access to Adobe. And I don't have access to that yet, or at least the materials I need to make Adobe. I'm going to have to get that whenever I eventually end up in the desert. Now, the desert is actually not where I'm going next, surprisingly enough. I know I love the desert, but I am heading elsewhere for the original idea I had for my first Ragnarok build, but that's going to be set aside here because I'm not there yet, and I'm going to do a Highland build while we're here to get that done. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to knock this down, get the supplies, and I'll come back with the actual build. See you in a bit. Alright guys, I am back. Now, before I show you the finished product, some of which I'm happy with, some of which I'm not, these things always look way different in your mind, and then you get into the actual game and you're heavily restricted by how the game actually works and what variety they have. But there's things I like about it, things I don't like, things I might try in the future. It also ended up being way bigger than I expected it to be, so that's something I'll probably play around with in the future. That's one of the reasons I'm making these videos, is partially a sort of log for me to show me what I've done in the past, how it worked out, things I might want to change. And just sort of slowly but surely become a better builder, a better player as I work through this. As you can see, we are on top of the watchtower. Now, I'm going to show you that place really quick where I originally wanted to build. I first started off on a couple of platforms over in that waterfall cave. You guys all know what I'm talking about. I spawned down in that bay over there. Oh, I have a level up. You can kind of see what I built down there actually anyway, so just I'll cover that with my wings here. I call that bay Driftwood Bay. I'm sure it's got an actual name, but I call it Driftwood Bay because there's so much driftwood and wood and stone and stuff, and even fiber and silk, that you can pretty much just hang out in that bay. Hardly anything ever spawns there. The only things I've seen are some Dilos and a Diplodocus, which strangely disappeared when I was down there last, which worries me because it was down there for ages and it should have been just puttering around, but now I'm worried it, you know, got eaten by something that's lurking just out of sight. I don't know. But you can literally build pretty much everything you want. I built my entire raft base, which I'll admit does not look pretty, but I'm not going for pretty right now. And it's down there in the bay. I built all of that, and it's all out of stone, just from the materials on that beach. So that's a great place to spawn in. That is one of the spawn points. If you pick the southernmost highlands spawn point, that's where you'll start. Great place for beginners. Anyway, I came up the side here, got all the way up to the top level, and tamed myself some equus. And I was looking for a place to build my base, and I wanted a place that had water. Now, there's supposedly a water vein somewhere in that general direction next to one of the farms, and that's where I wanted to build, but I could not find that water vein after wandering around and around and around. It's on the Gamepedia map, but I just couldn't find it. I do have some plans for building next to the actual farms. They will be smaller builds because, once again, the build I just did ended up being a lot bigger, but to be fair, I was basing it off of an actual building. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. But I originally wanted to build down over the side of the hill here, where there is actually a pool of water, and it turns into a waterfall that cascades right off the side of the cliff down into the beach down below. There were a few reasons I ended up not building there, and it was something that I didn't notice at first. It took a while to actually notice because various parts of this map, and any of the maps actually, they've got their areas that render in really well, and then they have areas that just don't look great. Like right now, the effects here look pretty much like Switch, to be honest. I'm kind of bummed about that. Things that are like really close up look great, but the distance viewing on this map is really, it's not great, particularly if you're flying the Pteranodon. But anyway, right over here, there is, yep, you can see it there. It's a pool of water. Beautiful little lake. There's a farm right up the hill. There might even be stuff down there. I didn't really get a chance to explore all that much. A little waterfall there. Really beautiful. I came down the hill here looking to build there. Was super psyched. I looked up, and there it is. You can see the tail. We've got our lovely pal. Ooh, and 3 little buddies. We've got 3 Allosauruses. And then this big guy. And he didn't render in right away. So I was literally like right there. Right kind of at that crest. And I looked up and it was like, boom, there he was. He didn't aggro. I was just out of aggro range, so I just kind of backed up, got in my horse, and got out of there. Someday, when I get a better flyer or I level this guy up, I'm going to kite him up to that canyon that's up there and drop him in there. I saw Ark Survival Guide do that, and he fits just nicely in there to the point where he cannot get out and he cannot move. So he literally just stands there until he dies of starvation or something, or spawns out. But anyway, that's the main reason why I did not build there. Otherwise, you've got access to the beach, you've got access to the farms, you've got this beautiful little water area, and it's just gorgeous. Now, I'm hoping that guy stays up on the cliff because I really don't want him down on the beach. Every time he walks around, I always feel like he's gonna fall off. Great. Come on, buddy. Get back up in the highlands. Because I'm going to need to sail my boat that way. And the last thing I want is him on the beach so he can aggro on my raft. Because I really don't want to know how that's going to go. But anyway, this is a beautiful area. If you don't have a Giganotosaurus there. Don't go that way. Don't. Yeesh. But anyway, this is a beautiful, beautiful place. So I'm going to head right back to where I built and show you what I did, and I will see you in a moment. So, update, the Giga is on the beach. He ran down there, ate a couple of Lystrosaurs, ate a Bronto, and now he's on the beach. Which means I'm going to have to take my raft out into really deep water to avoid him and brave the Leadsichthyes, or sail all the way around the island to get to where I want to go. I am not particularly happy about that because it's going to be long enough trying to get to where I want to go without going all the way around the island. It's going to be like trying to get to India before the Suez Canal. I'm not looking forward to this. So when you see me next, you might hear some horrifying story about a swimming Giganotosaurus attacking and destroying my raft. I don't know. Anyway, here is my build. Now, there's two parts to this build, but this is basically originally based on an English sort of country manor. They were generally built of stone. You could have wood trim that had specific colors and thatched roofs. The house doesn't look great, I'll admit. I wanted to paint those a darker blue, but the blue actually looked purple, and that looked weird. But in any case, this is sort of the manor house. Now, this is based on a traditional English manor where you've got the 3 windows above, the 2 down below on either side of the door, the sort of sloped roof, the fireplaces on both sides. There are 3 stories in there. This ended up being a lot larger than it was meant to be. So I'm going to try and play around with some do-over versions at some point in the future and try something much smaller. Now, the stable turned out okay, I think. I have 3 horses. 2 of them I got at the beginning of the game, and then I bred them because they were male and female. So I've got Gree, Rue, and Tigress. Those are all based off of basically their colors and what they look like. So I know some of the Equus have stripes and stuff, so that's pretty cool. This is my little sort of stable. And basically it's got that on the side, it's got the thatched roofs, and then I've got those double door frames and the double doors there. And if you walk a little bit closer, you can see there's partitions, and you can park your horses in there. Nice. So I really like this style. Looks kind of Mesoamerican to me, actually. I could add a couple of things to it to make it look Mesoamerican, but that's for a future build. And there's enough room there on the sides to put some storage boxes, and I could put like a smithy and stuff in there if I wanted to as well. But this house has plenty of room. It looks awful on the inside. I haven't decorated it because I don't plan on staying or keeping it, really. I'm not entirely pleased with how it looks. It's not bad given what I've got to work with, I guess. But I'm not a fan. I think something on a smaller scale might look better. Painting the windows and the door certainly helped, and these are some savarit bushes that are flowering and are going to sort of dress up the front a little bit anyway. I based the interior on actual floor plans as well. All this looks very sort of dark and foreboding and castle-like in here. But you'd have like a parlor room on the side, maybe even 2 rooms. You've got the fireplaces. Got the stairs in the front and the entryway. This would be the kitchen and the hearth area. And then you have another side room here. Now you go up the stairs and you'd be reaching the bedrooms. Now, I originally had partitioned these off into 4 bedrooms on either side, but the fireplaces didn't go all the way out the top like I wanted them to, so I actually had to double up on the fireplaces. And after that, it didn't make sense to stick a partition right down in the middle, so that's kind of been left that way. And this is all just basic. I'm, once again, probably not going to keep this, but kind of use this as research or practice, I guess, and figure it out. And then up here is where the servants' quarters would be. I do have a couple of servants' rooms marked out up here. 1, 2, and 3 over here. I could put like some tables and chairs, some cooking, some storage up here, because the servants would have lived in the top floor and in the attics of the house. So that's kind of how I've got here. This is a fairly accurate historical floor plan in any case, and the actual shape, etc., and the building materials even are all accurate. There's just no variety in terms of what we're given to work with the game, and you know, the usual paint issues. I do like how there's this little sort of gravel path that does run down and through it. I did have to knock out a couple of trees to get this in here, so I'm kind of bummed about that. And if I do decide to rebuild something here, which I probably will given the situation in the other area, I'd knock down some of it. Maybe the tree will come back, maybe it won't, I don't know. I've got things spawning pretty close to where I am. But this is basically, at least the shape and the building material, is your basic English country cottage. And stables. This is not actually how I wanted the stables to originally look. I had a slightly different layout, but given the topography, which is not flat, as you can see, I had to play around with that. So I'm actually a lot happier with the stables than I am with the house. That's English Cottage version 1. Obviously, if you are playing with a group of people and you're totally okay with things not looking historically accurate or decorated, this might work out great for you. You've got plenty of room inside that. You could change the floor plan a bit, get, you know, your bigger materials, bigger stuff in there, particularly on that first floor. You could have smaller rooms on that second floor. You know, have some stables. You can build other small buildings out here, have a little farm. But yeah, that's my first attempt at the English cottage. Go ahead and feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video or got inspiration or got ideas for what not to do. Hit subscribe if you're looking for future videos on my historical build attempts, both successes and fails. Got some more ideas for the Ragnarok map in the future if I can get around that Giganotosaurus that's hanging out on the beach. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.